So a very warm welcome. I can't see who's on this call now. My name is Denise Flood and I'm the College Director here in Portobello Institute. Just to give you a quick overview and insight into who we are in Portobello Institute and the sports department specifically. We were due to have Dr. Susan Giblin and Shannon Byrne on the call this evening, but unfortunately Susan has developed COVID and she's very unwell, and Shannon was involved in an accident, so neither of them will be with us this evening. So Joe and I will do our very best to give you, an oversight. We have a pretty good understanding of the programmes within this department. So who are we? Portobello Institute. We were founded 41 years ago by Delia Lyons, and the programme was founded where Delia was looking to train early years practitioners. At the time, there was nobody to train them, and so she set the college up then. And their first graduation, there was 8 students, and they were brought to the Shelburne for high tea, as it was known then, afternoon tea for their graduation. I suppose we've grown significantly since then. The college, the current managing director is Rebecca Lyons, who's Delia's daughter, and she is 25 years working within the institute. And I am 18 years with the institute. I started teaching on early years programs and have worked my way through the organisation to programme manager, and 10 years ago I took over the role as college director. We pride ourselves on our student-centric ethos of access through flexible delivery modes, innovative assessment strategies, and we engage our students as individuals in an active and supporting partnerships. What does that mean? So I suppose our access routes, so you can come in direct entry into first year. We have advanced entry into second year for students that may have engaged in other programs, for example, QQI level 6 programs, iTech advanced programs, and students at times have had significant work experience, relevant work experience, and we have assessed these on an individual basis. Students have also come to us who've had a difficult journey through education to this point, have come maybe from degree programs into us and come into our degree programs because we're small, we keep our classes under 25, and we have an individual approach to supporting our students on programme. We meet, I suppose, a diversity of needs. So people, may have individual SEN needs, they may have individual needs in terms of accessibility, and they may have difficulties in larger groups, may have difficulties in particular types of assessments, maybe exams haven't worked for them in the past, and so we support them on an individual basis to do their very best work. And I suppose from the outset, what we would say is that success looks different to everybody. And so for some people to come to even gain access onto a degree program and to make it through a degree program successfully is a massive life goal for them. So, there may be students that will come on and will get a first at the end of it, and that, that's their journey. But there are other students who actually make it through the program, successfully make it through the program, and haven't to this point successfully made it through other education programs. So we work really hard on an individual basis with each and every one of our learners. We get to know our learners will know us, and we'll know each of their names and their journey, I suppose, to that point. And I suppose another area, I suppose, that we support our learners is around work placements and opportunities upon graduation to find employment prospects. So we have a lot of links into industry. We've built them up over time. For example, students have gone out to clubs such as Bohemians Football Club. They've gone out to Belvedere College, been supported in their Senior Cup campaign, and all those sort of links, depending on what your interest is. So we would have on some of our sports programs, we would have dancers, we would have GAA players, we would have rugby players, and we would have a whole host of different sporting backgrounds. So focusing specifically tonight, so we have undergraduate degree programs and we have postgraduate programs and master's degrees. Tonight, focusing, I think, on the undergraduate degrees. So the 3 degrees that we'll be offering this autumn are BSc in Sports Therapy, BA Honours in Physical Education, and a BSc in Sports Science and Exercise Science. And the individual degrees, we partner with universities in the UK who are renowned for their research in these specific niche areas. So the first program there, which is a BSc in sports therapy, is accredited through the University of Essex, accredited through the Society of Sports Therapists. And that means that they guard the program and they ensure that every single aspect of that program is top drawer. And so that's a 3-year degree program, honours degree program, first year sports therapy training, physiology, anatomy and biomechanics, and then research methods. So right from first year, you're looking at your writing skills, looking at the opportunities to research, look at areas that you're particularly interested in. Year 2 then sports rehab, psychology, physiology, advanced therapy, and again research methods. So it's woven the whole way through the degree program, building on then into third year, biomedical implications, work placement, to be out on a block placement, electrotherapy, advanced therapy, and then your research dissertation. And each student is assigned then a supervisor. So if you're particularly interested in an area, we have quite a few academics with kind of niche area interest, and you can say I'd like to be supervised by such a person because I know that their area is this, and we'll do our very best to accommodate you to have your dissertation supervised by that particular individual. The sports therapy program, many of our graduates have graduated from this program and gone to work in physio clinics and in sports therapy clinics. And then some of them have used then the program then as a stepping stone into an MSc in physiotherapy. And there are students at the moment who have graduated from us in the UK on physiotherapy programs. And I suppose we announced there a couple of weeks ago that we have partnered with a university in the UK called AECC. And from next January, we will be offering an MSc in physiotherapy as well. So on completion of your BSc in sports therapy, if you get a 2-2 or above, you can apply for the MSc in physiotherapy. And so that involves then 230 hours of supervised experience in a physiotherapy clinic. We will be running a specific student clinic on our campus. It's accredited through Society of Sports Therapists as well, and it will be run over 15 to 18 months. And you graduate with an MSc in physiotherapy, which confers chartered physio status. And then the next program there that we have is a BSc in sports exercise and BSc in sports and exercise science. And this is for somebody who doesn't yet know the field, I suppose, that they want to go into. They know they're interested in sports science. They know that they're interested in sport, but they haven't yet decided, I want to be a physio, want to be a PE teacher, not sure yet. And so a lot of people will take this particular route and then potentially go on and do an MSc in performance analysis or other routes after this particular program. So the first year, again, is a 3-year honours degree. And the first year, an introduction to biomechanics, introduction to physiology and psychology, research skills, again, woven through the 3 years of the program, and then physical activity, health and well-being foundations. Year 2, then, the principles of sport and exercise science, physiological response to exercise, and then the psychological principles, biomechanical principles, again, research methods on physical activity, health and well-being. And then in third year, out on a placement, dissertation. So again, depending on the niche area that you're interested in researching or further researching, you'll be assigned a supervisor. And then advanced biomechanics, cardiovascular and environmental physiology, contemporary issues in physical activity, and then physical activity interventions in practice. And this particular degree is co-developed and accredited through Liverpool John Moores University, so a world-renowned research university, Liverpool John Moores. And then the third program then, which is our BA honours degree in physical education. And again, this degree is accredited, so it's co-developed and accredited through Liverpool John Moores University. First year, applied pedagogy, physiology, psychology, skill acquisition, research methods, personal and professional development. And then the second year then applied pedagogy 2, PE teaching, contemporary issue and PE, skill acquisition 2, and personal professional development. And then the third year then applied pedagogy 3, PE teaching, education 2, skill acquisition 3, and dissertation, contemporary issues and PE 2, and personal professional development. And then this particular program, building, for people that feel at the end of that 3-year degree, right, I want to be a PE teacher, and the opportunity then to go from that program into either a PME in UL for 2 years. And so we have graduates who have taken this path into UL. And so within 5 years, then they can graduate and register with the Teaching Council as a PE teacher. But we've also developed our own PGCEI, postgraduate certificate in education, plus an MSc in PE wrapped around each other. And we're in the process at the moment of having conversations, I suppose, with the Teaching Council to ensure that people on the completion of this programme will be in a position to register with the Teaching Council. So the programme is a 1 year, so the PGCEI is a 1 year programme, and then the MSc PE is the second year of the programme. The PGCEI, if you completed that particular programme, you could actually, with your honours degree and the PGCEI, you could go to the UK and teach PE teaching in the UK. But in Ireland, the Teaching Council requirements are that you have a master's plus all of the teaching components, which are enveloped in the PGCEI. And so you would need to take those 2 years of the programme. And in order to get onto that programme, you have to have a 2-2. So a 2-2 is between 50 and 60% in your overall degree qualification at the end of it. And you also have to have practical hours achieved in year 2 and 3 in a school setting on that BSc in PE. And I suppose just when we're talking about grades, it's very, very different when you're doing or completing or undertaking a degree program. 50 and 60% may not seem like a very high grade, but when you are in third level education, between a 50 and 60% student is a fairly decent student. It's somebody who's working hard and somebody who is consistently handing in their assignments, etc., on time. A 60 and above is a very, very strong student. And if you're managing to achieve above 70%, which would give you a first, you are an excellent student, and you are kind of a really, really excellent student. And it's not easy to get a first on a degree program. I suppose then our sports, the tutoring team, and so we have a diverse range of people on our teaching on our programs with very diverse backgrounds, all involved, I suppose, in different niche areas and sports. And so we have PE teachers, ex-PE teachers who have become academics. We have people involved in performance analysis. And there's a whole host that we've therapists there, so people that are out running their own clinics, sports therapists, physiotherapists, so a whole host of people. And Joe might be able to give you a little bit of an insight as well into some of them. Shannon, who has come on to the call this evening, and we have a video there, was one of our students. She is a graduate on our program. She came through the advanced entry route and is now out running her own clinic attached to a gym, and has some very elite athletes, I suppose, coming through her clinic on a regular basis. And she's done so well after graduating from this program. This year she had the opportunity to come in and support the teaching on the programs, and so she was involved in delivering supporting some of the clinic hours for our students, and so she's done a great job, and we're very proud of Shannon's journey with us. So there are 2 lots. So we've got direct, I kind of briefly touched on, we've got direct and advanced entry routes onto the program. So direct entry is where you come in first year, and so we'll be looking at either your Leaving Cert results, or if you're somebody that hasn't gone through the Leaving Cert route but has gone and done maybe ITech programs, or has QQI route, or has significant work experience. We can look at each of those individual CVs, etc. Then the advanced entry routes then, so they're people that have gone through a QQI level 5, level 6 program in an ETB, or on colleges that are delivering on those QQI programs and have achieved a certain amount of distinctions. And we will invite them to apply for the advanced entry route, which means they get into second year of the 3-year degree. So they've 2 years to complete to get their honours degree. This route has been very, very successful for us up to now. And what we have done is we have looked at and we've kept in close contact with those students that come onto the advanced entry route, have spoken to them, any of the struggles that they may have had. And so a couple of years ago, we would have students that have come into second year and the anatomy and physiology portion of it, which hadn't been covered in the same detail as we would cover it in first year, maybe on their QQI program. And what we did was then to try and fill the gap for those learners, we developed a 2-week program, an induction program, which is delivered in September prior to you starting in second year. Students have also maybe struggled with the writing abilities, maybe if coming into second year, and the expectations that was placed on them when they were doing their ITEC program or the QQI program. And what we have done is, again, developed a program that's woven into that 2-week program, looking at referencing, looking at academic writing, so that when you come into second year of the program, that you hit the ground running. We don't want people coming in and limping through second year. We want you to be in the best position to do your very best work on that program. And then I suppose I've mentioned there, so we've had very successful graduates coming through that advanced entry route and have have gone on and done kind of great things. I think the one thing is for more mature learners coming onto the program, they know exactly what they want. They come into the program, they hit the ground running, they work hard, and we have supported them to do their very best work. The one thing I say to people when we interview them is put your hand up. So if you're in class and you're struggling with this subject, hang back at the end of the class, go up to the lecturer and say, I'm struggling with this, or send them an email. If you don't tell us that you're struggling with something, we can't possibly know. And we want to support you. We want, the worst thing for us is at the end of the year, when somebody says, I fell off that subject, I didn't do well because I really didn't understand it. Why would you do that? There's only 25 ever in a class. Let us know. The lecturers are absolutely super. They want their groups to do really well. They want you to be successful. You're coming in. We want you to do the very best. So just put your hand up. Find a way that you're comfortable with to approach the lecturer, to approach the program manager of your program and say to them, I'm really struggling. I need some feedback in here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or what should I do? And again, when you get into third year in the program, to ask and say, look, I'm really interested in this. Is there a possibility to get work experience, or is there a possibility that I could maybe conduct my research on this particular area? And we're open to supporting you to do whatever that looks like.
So in terms of the application process, my name's Jo, and I'm the course advisor for sport at Portobello Institute. I've been with the institute for nearly 2 years now. It is a really fantastic institute. We see so many amazing students come to us, and it is really nice to see them graduate towards the end as well. We always have different clinics contacting us, or schools contacting us as well, saying how well our students have done in their work placements, which is something that you'll do in year 3 of the programs. And that's across all 3 of our programs. There will be a work placement element. We always get such good feedback, and we have schools and clinics, like I say, approaching us all the time and looking for more students from us. So I think that really highlights how well we are considered in the industry. And yes, certainly we are growing every year. So it's really nice to see. Thank you so much for joining this evening. And I will be most likely the person that you'll start your journey with Portobello with. So in terms of entry requirements, I'll be able to advise you on a case-by-case basis. So it really does depend on your own scenario. We don't kind of do a full kind of blanket yes or no answer. It's very much, we take every individual on a case-by-case basis. Everyone's backgrounds are so different, and we're really open to listening to what your background is, what you've done in the past, to help you with your pathway towards the career that you've decided to go on, and particularly if you're a mature learner, if it's something that you've been thinking about for a long time, or maybe have taken a few years out since you did your leaving cert, then I can advise you then in terms of entry requirements. So in terms of leaving certificate students, we can use your leaving certificate if you're a current Leaving Cert student at the moment. Obviously, you won't have your results until it'll probably be end of August, September time before you get your results. So we can offer provisional places based on your results that you will get. Ideally, we're looking for students to be studying biology or PE. We can accept either of those. I know PE is being delivered a lot more as a subject, and it's really nice to see, but we can also accept biology if PE hasn't been an option for you yet. And then we're also looking for maths and English, and ideally ordinary 6 or above in those 3 subjects and a pass in 3 other subjects. Now we do, like I say, take everyone on a case-by-case basis. So it is just really important that you make contact with me, just so that I'm aware of you and your interest in a course with us, whether it be the PE, the sport and exercise science, or the sports therapy. And we can get your interview done prior to you getting your results. It's just really important that we have a good idea of what our numbers might be. I can advise you on based on what you're currently studying. If you're not studying biology, or maybe PE wasn't an option to you just yet, we do also have an anatomy and physiology QQI level 5 course that you could do as well. And I know that some students that I have been speaking to recently, if they haven't been doing biology, it just maybe wasn't a choice that they were thinking of, you know, when they were making their choices a year or 2 ago, are now keen to do it over the summer in order to meet the entry requirements. They'll still do their leaving certificate, but they have that lovely 3-month period over summer where they could be doing that QQI level 5 in order to prepare them for those year 1 modules. So that is certainly an option. So please definitely don't be afraid to just contact me, even if you're not studying biology or PE. We take everyone on a case-by-case basis, and I would just be more than happy to chat to you, hear more about yourself and your background and your interests, because those are what's going to make an amazing sports therapist or an amazing PE teacher one day. What you're interested in, your personality and your drive to go down that career route. We completely understand that a lot of the Leaving Cert can be determined on a good performance in an exam. So we are here to listen to you and what you want to do and how we can help you on your career path. And we have fantastic exit routes, like Denise says, and we have master's programs that could lead to being a fully qualified PE teacher. We have the sports performance analysis degree as well, if that's something that you wanted to try out as well. So that we do have a lot of exciting opportunities, and especially our new masters in physiotherapy is certainly a really exciting one that we'll have from 2023. So really, really exciting to be part of Portobello Institute and our growing sports courses. And yeah, so that would be kind of the entry process if you were a leaving certificate student, is just book an interview or book a call with me. A call can come first. It would just be a quick 15-minute call with myself. Allows me to hear more about yourself and your background. And then I can advise you based on your specific scenario. If you want to go straight to interview, then there's a separate link and you can book an interview. You'll complete a pre-interview questionnaire, which just asks you a little bit more about yourself and your background. And then it'll be another telephone call with myself. Very informal. It's just for me to hear more about yourself, and also an opportunity, most importantly, for you to ask any questions, because I think that's key. We have fantastic web pages on our website, but I think it's just really important to be able to ask those questions to a person and get your any questions answered or clarified is sometimes the key thing. So I'm more than happy to have a telephone call with you or an interview. And then if you are someone who has maybe been out of education in maybe a couple of years, or maybe your leaving cert was a couple of years ago, and you've maybe been in work, then that is fantastic. We would also love to hear from you, because your experience what you've gained since you've left the leaving cert will be invaluable to you as a student. And we have some amazing students that have been maybe out of maybe education for a while, but they are driven and want to then pursue a career in sport, and they've been really taking the time to think about what they want to do in those years that they have been out of education. So definitely want to hear from you as well, and what we can use in terms of entry requirements. Like Denise says, if leaving cert wasn't something that you completed, or you went down a different route, or maybe didn't even do sport at all, I often speak to people who maybe did IT courses and then decided that once they went onto the course, it just wasn't quite for them, but they really enjoy sport. Then we can look at everyone on a case-by-case basis, and I'll have a look at what you've completed. And again, we have that anatomy and physiology course for you as well. And we would typically say that QQI level 5 would take about 3 months max to complete. But again, it's on the more time you put into it, the quicker you can get it done. So I have seen students do it much quicker. So it just depends on what time you have to put aside. And we have a lot of learners with families and other commitments as well. So our two learning methods, blended and full-time, certainly give you the options to work around your specific schedule. So just to discuss those, the full-time learning would be scheduled between the days of Monday to Friday. Wouldn't typically be the full 5 days. It would just be scheduled within those days. And we would typically see that most year one programs would be anything between 2 to 3 days in the college in Dublin, and completing any of those practical elements or anything that is workshop based or anything that we think would be better delivered in person. And then your week would also have possibly 1 to 2 days online as well then, but we will always try and give you at least 1 to 2 days off during the week. So it just depends on the year and the specific course that you're on for the full-time version. And then in comparison, then the blended learning is weekend only learning. So you wouldn't have anything scheduled Monday to Friday with us apart from your own kind of self-study. It would be weekend only learning, where it would be one weekend in the college in Dublin, Saturdays and Sundays, typically between the hours of 9 to 5, and then one weekend online learning more about the theory content. So that makes it quite nice and flexible if you're possibly not located close to Dublin. It means you'd possibly only be coming up to Dublin one weekend a month, which makes it really flexible for anyone coming further afield, or possibly just with other full-time work commitments and maybe family commitments as well. So we do hopefully have an option for everyone. And I think it's also really important to know as well, if you say started with us on the full-time program, if by year 2 or year 3 you got a really good work placement, or you got really good your schedule changed, you could swap then to the blended program before you registered for year 2 or year 3. So I think that's just a really nice thing to keep in the back of your mind, that if you started with full-time, you don't have to stick to full-time for the full 3 years. We have the flexibility to be able to change you to the blended for year 2 or year 3, because at the end of the day, we want you to walk away with your degree. And we completely understand that life changes each year, and a 3-year program can be a very long time for changes to happen. So we would much rather have you complete the program. It's the exact same qualification at the end of the day. Each academic year, you'll cover the exact same material and the exact same content. It just depends what days suit you best. Both on the full-time program and the blended program, each academic year would run from October time until May, June, and you still get your summer break then in between. So yeah, that would be kind of the overview of the application process. So definitely get your calls booked or your interviews booked, and then have a discussion with me, and I'll be able to explain next steps specific to yourself. Because again, just to remind you, everyone is on a case-by-case basis. I'm more than happy to chat to everyone on an individual basis to hear more about themselves and how we can use our entry requirements to in order to meet the entry requirements for Portobello Institute. So I think that is possibly Shannon's video ready to go. Is that right? Super. Well, if you've got any questions, always just pop them in the chat box, or I'll include my email address as well. So I'm the sports admissions advisor. So if you've any questions at all, I'll be more than happy to help. If there's anything I don't know, I'll certainly be asking one of the team to help me, and they're always more than happy to help. But any questions, we can cover them at the end if you just pop them in the chat box, and then we can collect them at the end. And then we can go ahead with Shannon's video. Thanks.
The one thing I would say about Portobello that sets it apart from any other university would probably be the fact that the classes are quite small and compact. Obviously, it's quite a practical course, so it's quite important to be able to have those kind of small groups. All of the lecturers know all of the students' names. It's quite a personable experience, which is quite important, I think, when you're doing something so practical as well, rather than just being a number in a lecture hall and that sort of stuff. You're also closer to your peers as well, because you are a small group, so it's very easy to have conversations with each other about certain topics and that sort of stuff, which I always found helpful. Like Sean mentioned, then you had to find a work experience or work placement when you're kind of coming towards the end of your second year. There was a clinic in Dublin that actually got in touch with the college and was willing to take a student on. So of course we were all like sheep running out the door trying to apply for this work placement in a clinic that was quite busy. I was lucky enough to get placement in that clinic in January of 2019. And I worked there for pretty much the rest of the year and a half I had left in college. And then I was taken on full time once I had finished my degree in final year. That we had to do a presentation of a business plan of what our business plan would be. So I remember flicking back through my business plan and going, oh Jesus, wouldn't it be a bit of crack now if that was a reality in a couple of years' time? And little did I know then, in a couple of short months, that was my reality. So I opened my clinic, rebound injury clinic in Finglas in 2020, smack bang in the middle of the pandemic. It's been open for about a year and a half now. It's done really, really well. I now hire 2 other therapists in the clinic as well. So they're helping me out at the minute. Something I've noticed with kind of treating clients on a day-to-day basis is that a lot of my clients would have gone to physiotherapists and maybe missed an element of hands-on treatment and that sort of stuff. And they've always reported back that what I've learned at Portobello seems to work better for them than some other therapists that they've been to. And of course, that's not always the case, but I've had that feedback time and time again. And I've had over 500 clients through the doors in the last year and a half. Portobello Institute, like, I can't say enough good things about them. I think if it wasn't for Portobello, I don't think I'd be in the same position that I was in today. Like I said, my start of this kind of journey was a guidance counsellor telling me to just take a complete different route altogether. So I'm glad I didn't listen to that advice when it was given to me. But like that, if there's any students that are doing their leaving cert and worried about not getting the points for the courses and that sort of stuff, Portobello was a great first step. Like, if Portobello had been an option for me straight away, if I knew about it when I was doing my leaving cert, I probably would have dove straight into the first year rather than doing the PLC, to be honest. But it was a great kind of stepping stone for me to get into Portobello as well. So
I graduated from sports therapy in Portobello in 2020, so right in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Genuinely,
just first of all, a little bit about myself. So I did my leaving cert in 2014. I got fairly average points in that, but they weren't good enough for me to go on to study physiotherapy. So similar enough to Connor, I accepted a place in university. I was studying Spanish and economics in UCD, and after 2 years, I dropped out. It wasn't the course for me. I didn't like it at all. So I just started working full time. And then after working full time for a year, I started looking into return to studies. So I came across a PLC that was called Pre-University Physiotherapy in Coláiste Ida in Dublin. And then I got accepted into that, thankfully. And while studying Coláiste Ida, I heard about sports therapy in Portobello Institute. So I went through the interview and the application process there. And thankfully, I was offered an advanced entry into second year of sports therapy. So that was just subject to my results in the PLC, and thankfully I ended up getting those. So I got to go straight into second year of the sports therapy course in Portobello. So while in while studying sports therapy in Portobello, it is a really practical based course. So we have like weekly therapy practical classes. These covered assessment and treatment techniques, along with how to diagnose common injuries seen either in a clinic or on a pitch, just depending whatever setting you end up working in. And then we also had regular sports physiology labs across in DCU. So all of this sort of was combined with quite a small class size. This really did ensure that like we were maximizing the time that we had while we were in college. Also then, so throughout the course, we had to organize work placement. So I managed to get work placement with a rugby club and a football club. So I was doing pitch side work with them, and then also at a private clinic. And then I was able to apply everything that we were learning in practical classes to both of those settings. And then also throughout the course, we were given the opportunity to complete extra courses as well. So things like taping and strapping, pitch side first aid. So obviously they're two important things if you want to move on to work in pitch side. And then also did a dry needling and massage course as well. So as I said, so I finished up in the middle of the pandemic. That kicked off while we were maybe 2 or 3 months left in the course. So that kicking off really did bring the challenge of online learning with it. But the lecturers and the tutors all in Portobello, they really adapted really well to this, and they made that transition as smooth as possible. It wasn't easy for anyone. And then when I finished up the course, it was, for obvious reasons, difficult to find any jobs. But then once things started to open up again and restrictions were lifted, I started working just in a small clinic in Dublin. And then I also started working with a rugby club. So I was in different settings and I was working with different populations. But the content and all the modules from the course really did provide me with the tools and confidence that I needed to begin working with the general public. So then moving on to study physiotherapy, it always was a goal of mine. So I found myself in the middle of lockdown with quite a lot of free time. So I started completing applications to master's programs for physiotherapy in the UK. And then Susan, one of the lecturers from Portobello, she really helped me through the entire interview and the application process, and that support really was invaluable. It really helped me. Thankfully, I was then offered a place in a pre-registration Masters of Physiotherapy in RGU in Aberdeen, which I accepted. And I started that in January 2020. So that course, it obviously began still in the middle of a lockdown. But thankfully, like the online learning aspect wasn't that much of a shock to me because of being used to it with Portobello. And then initially, like in the course, the practical content was at the start was a lot of stuff that we had already covered in Portobello. So that really did benefit me massively. I didn't really feel overly massively overwhelmed with being bombarded with totally new information. And that really helped me while I was adapting to my new environment over here. I'd say sort of the biggest difference that I would notice between like undergraduate studies and the master's level, it's just what's expected really in the coursework. Like they expect an element of criticality in all of our assignments. I think Caroline's going to go through like an actual physiotherapy course more detail. But in fairness, like the tutors over here really have made that change a lot more manageable. But studying in Portobello, it really did give me the confidence and the ability to work as a sports therapist in Dublin, be it all like a few short months. But then it also provided me with a very solid base to go on and study physiotherapy at a master's level. So mine, like I said, short and sharp, not as much information as Connor got into, but that's me. Thanks very much for listening.
So I think that's everything now. We're delighted to have been able to share this information with you here this evening. As Joe said, if you have any other questions, reach out to her. I think there's a link in there if you want to book an interview with her or get any more questions answered. And if you have any more questions, you can pop them into the chat and we'll be able to answer them. And have a lovely evening. Take care.